UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Canada's cornerman, Callum McGregor.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Donttap Podcast here late in the week. We are here for the Donttap Prop Report. I got some pretty cool spots, some lines that have been a little bit off that I think that you might find some value in. And there's one line that's just absolutely crazy for me. It's plus 1,400. And when we get into it, it just makes sense to sprinkle on it. You just almost have to. Even if you're fully on the other side of this one and you've been all over it, it's the best hedge in the world for you because it's just ridiculous the value on this prop, especially considering the win conditions that this gentleman brings to the table. So without further ado, ufc314, UFC Miami. Let's just get into it right away here. Donttap Podcast. Let's go. Round number one. Okay, for round number one, we're going to go with the main event. Okay, Alexander Volkanovski, 26-4-0. Diego Lopes, 26-6-0. Although these numbers seem similar, they're just not the same. Diego Lopes spent most of his time fighting in, the regional scene. And if we're looking at Volkanovski, he spent most of his time fighting in the UFC at the championship level. So, yeah, the strength of schedule, not even close. If you look at the height, Lopes, 5'11", 5'6" for Volk. We know he's going to be much bigger. Everybody's betting their side on him being bigger and more volatile than Lopes. They're saying he's going to be able to bully him around in there. The reach, Lopes 72-inch reach, Volk 71-inch. And I don't know about you. I know most of you probably haven't sparred, but when you're fighting and you punch up into somebody's chin and you have the same reach as them roughly, and you're landing on the inside upwards, it's a hell of a lot easier to touch that chin than if you're punching down. So, just a thought. Just want to put that out there for people. Next, their age. I mean, Volk's only got him by 6 years. And although Volk has worn damage recently, Lopes has worn damage in his career too. It's just a factor. And I'm going to get into the idea of the 5-round experience for Volk. I'm going to get into the cardio experience. I mean, Lopes never seen the 4th round. We know that. So it's definitely interesting. Volk's landed strikes per minute is 6.16. Diego Lopes is 4.20, 420, like it. And then Volk only absorbs 3.44 strikes landed per minute versus Lopes, who's just landing. He's throwing and landing. He's absorbing 4.11 strikes absorbed per minute. And the grappling, I mean, if it gets to the ground, I mean, the only one who actually goes for takedowns is actually Volkanovski. So at 1.78, at least in the UFC. Lopes, he sort of finds himself to the ground. I think it'd be stupid for Volk to take it there, but I think he could survive there. He did with Ortega. I get it. That's not a metric you want to look at or something that you want to look at. I just hope it doesn't go down to the ground. I think with the 70% takedown defense, Volk will be fine there. And I think that Lopes is going to want to test himself out on the feet. And I think that Volk is just going to have control. I have faded Lopes all the way up until he fought Brian Ortega, and then I sort of jumped on board and jumped on the train because the guy is the real deal. The technique isn't of the higher elite level, but his will, his power, his volatility, especially early in the fight. Like if he can get a gas tank, it's going to be pretty rough for a lot of people. I'm going to get into this, but it's just for me, I can't really veer away from the fact that a lot of people are becoming neurologists this week. And they're telling me exactly that, Volk is chinny at this point. Volk is done, and there's no way that he's going to be able to pull this off. And he's not going to be able to get past Lopes first round onslaught. I just don't understand. Like, Volk is a victim of his bad choices outside of the cage versus what's happened inside of the cage. He should have never taken that fight with Topuria so quick coming off of that head kick. And that head kick, it's like, ask any fighter. That head kick knocks anybody out. That's like a fucking baseball bat hitting you upside of the head. Like, that was sleepy time. He didn't see it coming. He got caught. So anybody could go to sleep with that. They don't have to be chinny. And then Topuria is one of the pound for pound strongest punchers that there is. So, I mean, we got to give Volk a little bit of a break here. He did the right thing. He sat back. He put his ego aside, and he waited to mend the head. He looks like he's training pretty hard. I mean, I can't gauge the footage. It looks like he's very serious. He says he's very serious. He's focusing just solely on the fight, just solely on training. All I'm going to say is this. I always say this, like, so we go back a couple of years, what would this line be? Sure, right? But we're not there anymore because the momentum of Lopes is very real. What he's done in the UFC is very real, but the level of competition isn't even close. We're not there yet. Ortega is not, although he is fought in the championship levels, that can't be your only little bit of a push up there to go up against Volkanovski, who we were calling the GOAT up until he lost that decision, which a lot of people thought he won that decision against Makhachev when he went up a weight class. So now we're staying in your weight class. Everybody's saying Lopes is really big. But let's look at the factor of 5-round experience. For Volkanovski, he's had 9 scheduled 5-round fights and 6 have gone the distance. For Volkanovski, he's a guy who has a cardio edge in almost every fight that he's been in. He's a guy who outstruck Max Holloway, who outworked Max Holloway, who controls the distance and controls the range and steps in when he needs to, uses his jab really well. He's just an elite level striker in there. Yes, a former rugby player becomes an elite level striker. But yes, are we worried about is the years sort of weighed on him? Do the actual the concussions and do the knockouts, do they count? Do they actually work against him? Is his chin actually gone? I mean, I'm also not a neurologist, but looking at the line, I can't look at either of those things and be a neurologist on either side of this. I got to throw it out the window. The fact that he's taking the time off, I got to give a benefit of the doubt here. And if it doesn't happen here and he does get knocked out, then I can't again. And then I'll be on the side of, yeah, it looks like he is past his time. It looks like his head is a little bit softer now and he's taking too many shots. But the reality of the fact is, the line is too tight. It's now at minus 136. I got it at minus 125. And you'd be ridiculous not to look at this one live. You'd be so ridiculous. Because if we're talking about it, I've already mentioned the experience of Volk. But now let's look at the experience of Lopes. Has he ever fought in a 4th round? No. How did he look in a 3rd round? We all know it. We all know it's there. Everybody's waiting to bet live. I know you are. All of you that are on Lopes are saying, okay, wait a minute. What if it does go over? If it does go over, well, what is the live? What are the bookies actually saying as far as the line? What are they saying as far as, is it going to go over? Is it going to go the distance? Take a look at those lines. You got to really see what the story is. They're thinking it does go over. If it does go over and it's sitting around minus 200, or I was looking at it a little bit earlier. It's like 3.5 it's set at. But if it's even set to go into the 3rd round, that's what you got to look at. Look at that line. What is the line into the 3rd round? I think it was sitting around minus 220 or something like that. But look up in your own books. So if it does get into the 3rd round, who takes over? Do we think Lopes' power is still sitting there? Do we think that his submission skills are that strong that he is definitely going to get Volk? Like these lines, this is a cheap price. This is a buy low spot. This is a championship level check if I ever saw one. This is Alexander Volkanovski all day long for me. If the line was wider, then I'd be like, yeah, there's value on Lopes with the momentum. There's value on the young bull coming up. And I would be looking at all of the things that you might be looking at. And I'm saying you because I know a lot of people in the market right now are on Lopes. But there's a reason why the line is sort of sitting where it is. There's a reason why probably big money has come in on Volk that sort of kept that line steady with the market, because I can't get past how good he is. I can't get past what this looks like on the feet if it gets out of that 2nd round and starts to stretch out into that 4th round. So I'm going to take Volk in this one, but I am going to look at it live as well too to get better odds, because I do think that Lopes is going to present a huge problem. He might even catch Volk a little bit or whatever, like press him up against the cage, and it might be it might look bad to the judges, and Volk might have a little bit of a rough 1st round, because that's what Lopes does. But then if he gets out of that 1st round, then that line is going to be better for me, and I'm just going to hit it. So that is sort of the way that I would say to attack it. Volk live. If you haven't really got in on the minus 125 and now the line's starting to maybe creep back up again, I'd say stay away from it. There's no point if you've missed the line. Even if I still think there's a whole bunch of value there, you sort of missed the line on the market. So, for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to go with Volkanovski. That's going to be my first play. I can't not. You know me. I can't let go of these guys at the end of their career. I'm not just going to let it go and just say that he's done and assume he's chinny and assume all of these things, that he's just old and give him a walker and send him on his way to the golf course. This, like a little while ago, this was one of the best fighters on the planet. And now he's going up against a guy who wasn't even on the Dana White Contender Series. How long ago? Fuck off. Get out of here. Give me Volkanovski. Round 1. Okay, round number 2. I'm going to touch a fight that a lot of people seem to have an edge in. A lot of people seem to be loving Reyes in this one. We're going to get into Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. Nikita Krylov 39-0 against Dominic Reyes 14-4-0. Krylov's been out of the cage for almost 2 years, and both guys, they're even as far as their attributes and size and reach and everything else. When it comes down to where the edge is, Reyes probably has a little bit more championship level experience. Obviously, a lot of people feel like he beat John Jones, and we can always talk about that when we talk about Reyes, but it shows how good he can be. Can he ever do that again? Probably not. But both guys on the feet can be volatile as far as, Reyes can get guys out of there. Krylov a little bit sloppier on the feet, but he can get guys out of there as well too. He's looking to try to get this to the ground. He wants to submit Reyes in this fight. Reyes is on the feet. This isn't going to be close. But Reyes boasts an 82% takedown defense. So 82% takedown defense in this fight. It's definitely interesting. And I could go back and forth on what I could think happened. I could say that Krylov being out for 2 years is a problem or whatever else. But it just comes down to these numbers. If we look at it, Reyes, 11 out of his 18 fights have ended under 2.5. For Krylov, 28 of his fights have ended in rounds 1 or 2. Let me say that again. For Reyes, 11 of 18 fights have ended under 2.5. And for Krylov, 28 of his fights have ended in round 1 or 2. So I'm going to take this one really simply. Fight doesn't start round 3 at minus 116 is going to be the play. There's just too much value there. These guys just haven't seen round 3 a lot of the time. Reyes could stretch this over into the 3rd round, keeping it on the feet, maybe fighting off the cage, and maybe it does stretch over and maybe I sweat. But at minus 116 for guys that just don't get out of those first 2 rounds for the most part, I got to touch it, man. I get that Reyes numbers is under 2.5, but for fight not to start round 3 for me, I think is going to be the play. Minus 115. You could also just go fight doesn't go the distance. I may take a look at that as well too. But yeah, it's just violence. It's violence, and I'm all over it. I think it cashes really, really easily. This is going to be a car wreck. It doesn't get out of the 2nd round if it even gets to the 2nd round. So minus 116, that's the play for round number 2. For round number 3, this is somebody that I've faded for a long time, but I've just seen a new sort of wrinkle in him. And although I'm still worried about him on the feet and whatever else, just on the ground, it's too sharp, man. So I'm going to go with, let's talk about the fight. Michael Chandler against Paddy Pimblett. Michael Chandler coming in at 23-9-0, Paddy Pimblett 22-3-0. And Chandler does have a level check experience a little bit here with regards to, he's fought at the championship level. He's lost at the championship level. But for Michael Chandler, it's extremely frustrating. If you've ever been on Michael Chandler, it's extremely frustrating. If you've ever even backed him or even been a fan of him, it's extremely frustrating. Because he has all of the talent in the world. He's a strong wrestler, athletic, power in his hands. Maybe it's not as technical on the feet, but he wouldn't need it. The dude just wants to entertain. I'd rather see you try to take a shot at the belt, but entertain, do what you got to do, man. But I'm going to fade Chandler in this spot. I've looked so many different ways at how this fight could end. I am a little bit worried about, him potentially chinning Paddy in this. But I already like Paddy at, money line. Right now he's like minus 160. But we are going to go with Paddy Pimblett. I tried to look at a submission prop and where this would end. I just think that he's going to eventually get to the back. This is a little bit less of me getting into stats on this one as much as it's just really, I just see Paddy getting to his back. And when Paddy gets there, I think he's going to eventually submit him. I think it might happen a couple times that he gets to his back. A couple takedowns. It's going to take a couple scrambles and a couple situations to happen and unfold. But yeah, I like it at plus 250. But if you want to be safe, it's a little chalky, but minus 190, fight doesn't start round 4. So if you go fight doesn't start round 4 at minus 190, I can't see this fight getting into, out of the third round. I can't see it. I think these guys are going to be, someone's going to get the edge. Either Chandler's going to start pressing him back and touching that chin, or Paddy's going to have his way. So, minus 190, you don't have to necessarily touch a chalky. You just sprinkle the Paddy submission if you like it, if you're on the Paddy side of things, or even go inside the distance. He could chin Chandler. But I think even if he does chin Chandler, he's on his back right away, and he takes that back, and he submits him. So I like Paddy Pimblett at plus 250. That'll be just a little of a sprinkle, but I already got on the money line. That was my play initially. I didn't mind it at, I think it was like minus 170. But throwing out props late in the week. Okay, for a bonus round. I don't understand this one. This is a bonus round. I'm just going to get really simple here. No one's KO prop should ever be at plus 1,400 if they've ever knocked anybody out before. If they've knocked out 3 of their opponents in their last 8, or in their last 8 fights, and they've knocked out 7 opponents in their full career, why the fuck is Jim Miller's KO prop at plus 1,400? Why is Jim Miller at round 1, his round 1 prop for KO is plus 3,000. Round 2 is plus 4,500. Why are these numbers here? I don't understand. You got to tell me. Jim Miller has like 3 or 4 KOs in the first round. Jim Miller has, I think it's 2 or 3 KOs or two KOs in the second round. And he's knocked out 3 guys in his last 8 fights. Old man strength doesn't go away. Chase Hooper, I get it. And here's the thing. The line should probably be around minus 300 because there is a reality of Chase Hooper finding his stride, getting into that man body. He's not a kid anymore. He is, solid, not on the feet the way people say. I've talked to Slava Borshev about this. This is really a factor of his ground game is so solid. You worry about that, and then his stand-up gets better because of it. His hands become open because you're worried about his takedown. So it's not that he's so great on the feet. I just think there's a little bit of an issue here. He's hittable. His numbers show that he's hittable. Watching him when he got touched against Garcia, and I know that's Garcia, but in a couple different fights, even if you look on the regional scene where he gets hit sometimes, he shelves up a little bit and backs up, and it doesn't look good. And Jim Miller has enough power at plus 1,400. This is a stupid prop. Absolutely stupid prop. If you're going to hit the round props, I understand too. And if you're even on Chase Hooper, this is a perfect hedge. I don't really know if I could ever see Jim Miller submitting him. Maybe Miller wins the decision, but probably not. If it goes to decision, it's because it's Hooper just mauling him and whatever else. The long leverage limbs, I get it. The scramble ability of Hooper's so solid, and he does have a gas tank, so he can push Miller into those rounds where his strength won't be as strong. And maybe that'll be the play. Maybe he goes to try to grapple him a little bit heavy early. But man, if this gets into even a little bit of a gunfight earlier, they're even striking on the feet for that first little bit, Jim Miller's knocked guys out in the first 2 rounds quite frequently. It's crazy. The line's too crazy. Maybe I'm biting on something I shouldn't. But even if this didn't hit a certain amount, I don't even know what the numbers are on it. But this is something you sprinkle. This is just in an MMA fight when you have somebody who's ever knocked anybody out before. I don't care if it was a fucking can. His plus 1,400 KO prop. All day, Jim Miller. Hell yeah. Let's go. Lyme disease or not. You guys keep talking about Lyme disease. Happened like fucking 10 years ago. Jesus Christ. Lyme disease. Jim Miller KO plus 1,400. Even if it doesn't happen, I'm okay with throwing $5 on something like that. If you can't take $2 and make 90 off like what is it? The round 2 prop, it's like you make $90. If you put Tim Hortons, throw a coffee on it. Call it a day. Donttap prop leans. These are spots I'm not necessarily, these aren't all of my number 1 spots. These are all of my, what I think is going to happen in the fights and then what their value is to go with it or how I would approach it. Some of these are my spots. I will let you highlight and let you know which ones are. So Nora Canole against Haley Cohen. We have Nora. I like her in the spot to win and fight to start round 2 combined on FanDuel minus 127. We have Marco Tulio going up against Tresean Gore. I've faded Tresean in the past, but I just don't have faith in him. I don't think he's at this level. Yeah, he's strong. He's athletic. If he gets a hold of your neck, good luck getting out of those muscles. But the reality is Tulio by KO is plus 115. That's where I go. Suma Darji against Mitch Raposo. I like the dog in this, and I like the dog by decision at plus 350. Mitch Raposo gets a little bit of grappling going and makes it grimy. Then looking at Cedric Dumas against Mikhail Olajaychuk. I found myself on both sides of this. Could Olajaychuk's ability to get submitted happen? Could he knock out Dumas as well too? Because his power's there and he just keeps marching forward. But I'm going to go with fight doesn't start round 3 at minus 126. But that's not a play. That's just a lean. Darren Elkins against Julian Erosa. I keep trying to not find myself on a spot with this one. But I think fight goes to decision. It's going to surprise everybody in this one. Fight goes to decision at plus 112. I don't think Erosa gets Elkins out of there. And I don't know if Elkins is going to necessarily have the ability on the ground to get Erosa out of there. And or the power to get him out of there. So I like fight to go the distance at plus 112. Even if you get it on even money, I like it. And that's going to be one of my spots as a lower level spot, but a time prop. Jim Miller against Chase Hooper. The only value I see here is on the dog. The line is extremely wide, and it's way too wide. And I think that Hooper should be like minus 300, not minus 900. And I think that Jim Miller by KO at plus 1,400 is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. And if it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit, but I'm hitting it. Throw $5 on it and walk away. The round props, round 1 plus 3,000 by KO. Round 2 plus 4,500 by KO for Jim Miller, who's had 7 KOs in his career, and 3 of his KOs have come in his last 8 fights. Next, we go to Yan Xiaonan against Verna Jandiroba. I've gone back and forth on this one. Yan is a real deal. You can't argue with it. But at the same time, Verna wrestling is too solid. I think the fight goes the distance at minus 168. There's value there because a lot of people think that Verna could get taken out of there by Yan if she were to win. So I think that's where the value is on getting a minus 168 there for a female fight to go the distance. Works for me. Next, we'll look at Dan Ige against Sean Woodson. I stayed off this one. Split decision, plus 400. Done. Nikita Krylov, Dominic Reyes. We touched that one. Minus 116. Fight doesn't start round 3. Bryce Mitchell, Jean Silva. Everybody's on this one. I'll take Silva by KO and Mitchell by decision at minus 160. It's just something that feels safe for me. I know everybody thinks Mitchell just gets taken out of there, and I don't know, man. His wrestling's really good. I'm just saying. But I'm staying off it for the most part. Yara Rodriguez against Patricio Pitbull. This is a spot for me. Rodriguez by decision, plus 140 all day. Next, Paddy Pimblett and Michael Chandler. I already went over that one. Pimblett by submission, plus 250. First, and the fight doesn't start round 4 at minus 190 is sort of a hedge. I'm not married to that one, but I like the sub prop. But for Pimblett. And then we look at Alex Volkanovski. I'm looking at him live. After the first round, I'm going to hit that live. There'll probably be more value after the volatility of Lopes in that first round. And then if we look at, I already hit it at money line at minus 125. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But I think we'll leave it there. I think we've hit all the spots we need to hit. I think it's crazy that Jim Miller's KO is plus 1,400. That's the craziest prop of the week for me. And I think my favorite spot is going to be the Krylov, Dominic Reyes. Even if you went fight doesn't hit the scorecards and parlayed it up with something, I don't hate it. You could definitely parlay some violence this week. It's usually I parlay overs or fight to start round 2s, but I'm looking at some violent spots. I think it's definitely there. And I sort of like that sneaky Ige Woodson split decision at plus 400. But yeah, that is the Donttap Podcast. Tune into the Donttap Podcast. This is the Donttap Prop Report. If I get one up late in the week, this is what we'll do. If we get up one early in the week, it'll be a little bit different, a little bit more drawn out with breakdowns. But these are the spots. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. Tune into the Donttap Podcast.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Canada's cornerman, Callum McGregor.